So I've had a lot of people asking about this build, and in today's video, I'm gonna go over all the details and tell you a little bit more about how a bike like this gets built. Because I make a lot of these videos where I put up custom builds and they're like 5 or 10 minutes long. And what they don't do is explain all the effort that goes into making something like this. This particular bike was easily past 150 hours, actually closer to 200 hours. It also involved 5 other companies and a bunch of other custom design work that had to get done to make something like this. And so while you guys can see videos I will put up of a bike I will have made, it will just be a custom build for that week or whatever, what you're not seeing is the background time that I spend designing things and comparing paints and comparing headlights and building things that don't work and throwing those things out and starting over, and the trial and error of building something like this. To get to a point where we have a bike that is operating properly and also looks cool is not a simple task. And I thought this would be a fun time to give you guys an overview of what we do. So let's get started. Okay, so how does a project like this begin? Well, the individual who purchased this bike also purchased a few other bikes. He basically came to me and said, look, I have a special request for you. I've done all these other bikes. Would you be able to do this special motor and a special battery and all these different things? For me, that is usually not a project I want to take on, because while we do these custom builds, we are also building all of the other bikes. And I was worried that we would get to the point where spring would be coming on and I would just not have the time to do it. And that was okay with him. He basically said, no problem. Take as much time as you want. If it takes 3 or 4 months, that is totally fine. And as long as you're fine with that amount of time, I would be able to start building it. And the main thing is that you're not going to be down my neck checking in all the time, seeing if the bike is done, if the bike is done. And that was fine. So this guy has been amazing. He's been extremely supportive, wonderful with communication, and also able to adapt, because a lot of times with customers, they will have an idea in mind of what this bike is going to be like. And I have to say, hey, that's really a cool idea, but we literally cannot do that. It's physically impossible, or it is too unsafe to do that. And so, you know, I can build things that are death traps for anybody if I wanted to, but I want to make sure that if somebody gets this bike, they're going to be safe on it, and that it's also going to last for a while. With all that in mind, we got started on figuring out what we were going to do. And so we had some raw brute frames that I was able to pull from, and we compared a bunch of different colors for a while. And ultimately, he decided on this beautiful illusion red from Prismatic Powders. It's one of my favorite reds. It's like a candy red. It almost has kind of a gold glitter in it in the sunlight. It looks awesome. If you're going to pick a red powder coat, look at the Illusion series from Prismatic Powders. So we went from there and then collaborated with Tapia Seats to begin laying out the groundwork for how a seat is going to look. Because between the paint color and the seat, that really is going to kind of formulate the direction of the bike. Those two things really, really give us a good vision. And so he had landed on this super brute idea. And so you'll see, you know, the Superman logo on there, something kind of fun to work with. And we took that and kind of ran with it. And so while everything was getting prepped for paint and we were making all the other cosmetic panels that we would have to do to build this bike, I worked with Powerful Lithium in New Jersey to begin the creation of the battery. And so we designed this battery so that it would fit this enclosure. So Powerful Lithium has a really unique Socian motor that is a 10 kilowatt nominal. I think that thing peaks up, I don't even know, like 25 kilowatt or something crazy. And we knew that we were going to use that motor, and we were going to put a really big tire on this thing and get going from there. So we gave Powerful Lithium, you know, the green light. They make a battery, and then in the meantime, they send us the motor. And we really needed that motor as soon as possible because we ran into a big problem. So it actually turned out that the motor we were going to use had an axle that was too big for the swing arm of the Brute. And the only way we were going to be able to do it was to custom machine this swing arm. And so one of my good buddies, Sam, over at Evil Innovations, said he would be willing to take it on. And so he took a swing arm and created a rig to put into his CNC machine and begin machining out that slot. And so the slot was widened, and that allowed the axle to fit in. And so then we realized that the dropout size was a bit bigger than we anticipated. So we had to then go back to the drawing board again with the swing arm another time and look at just how wide we needed to go. And so we made a couple decisions on how this swing arm would get designed and decided to mill off about 1/4 inch off the full thickness of that 1-inch dropout. And so then what happened? Well, we machined material away from the swing arm, and that then allowed the motor to actually fit, but we were then presented with another problem. We just made the swing arm a lot weaker, and we put in a motor that is more than twice as strong as what we normally put in. So what did we do? Well, I took some time and I custom engineered some torque arms out of a material called BN50, and it is a tank armor grade steel. The stuff is insanely strong. You can literally just take a drill to it and try to drill a hole in it, and you're not gonna do anything to it. We decided we would make some torque arms out of this material, and I made it at 1/4 inch, and so that gave us a little bit more thickness as well. Everything fit in perfectly, and we finally had a motor that was able to be mounted into this swing arm. And so that swing arm could then get powder coated, so it met the same color as the frames, and everything on the frame was done. We were looking really good. So now we had it where we had the frame done, we had the motor done, the fork done, all of that was great. And we were able to put the battery, and everything in that enclosure fit great. From there, I gave the customer an update, and I basically said, hey, you're looking really good. And while he was here, he said, you know, why don't we do underglow on everything? And so that was the decision. He basically said, I want to add lighting onto every single bike that you've built for me. And so he did have a bike with lighting in it, and that was really cool, but this other one did not. And so we had to then take a step back and begin working out a layout to add all lighting into this system. And that wasn't that big of a deal. Doing the lighting system was probably about 3 to 4 hours per bike. But when you have 4 bikes or whatever, it adds up. This is 2 or 3 working days to just do lighting systems on these bikes. But now that they're all done, I think they look amazing, especially with all of that lighting. And so when you put this all together, we basically had to go from raw frames, have custom panels created for this thing by our partners over at CFA Laser. I then had to design some custom torque arms that CFA Laser. We then had some seats custom made by Tapia. We had our motor and our battery supplied by Powerful Lithium. We had to transport everything over to BNC powder coating to get painted. We had to have things custom machined by Evil Innovations just to be able to hold that motor. While all that was going on, Alicia over here at Spark was building the entire electrical system for the bike. And then once everything got done from painting, that was pulled over, and Taryn and I both worked on assembling the entire bike. And so between all the different meetings with suppliers and all the custom engineering time, all the communication time we spend with the customer deciding on things and working things out, and then the actual assembly of the whole thing itself, this adds up to a lot of effort, guys. It's always fun to be able to put up a bike and just see you guys be like, oh, that's a cool looking bike. But I thought it would be important for you to understand just how many people are involved in making something like this. And this is one of the reasons why I absolutely love doing this stuff in the United States and doing it all here. I don't really do it for a patriotic reason, really, guys. I do it because I just love working with other creative people. A lot of great ideas come from working with other people. I know that our design has improved over the years purely because I've been able to work with other creative people, not just work I've done by myself. And so when you look at Sparks Bikes, just keep this in mind that we are not a large-scale manufacturer. We don't make the same bike all the time. And I'm very grateful to be able to do this kind of stuff because we continue to get people that trust us and want us to make bikes for them. Spark recently turned 8 years old, And the Javelin and Brute recently just turned 2 years old, and it's amazing that it's already gone by so quick. What I will say in regards to a project like this is it was basically a good research project to see what could we possibly push the Brute to do at its limit. And while it has been amazing to make a Brute that can be this fast and this powerful, my decision has been I don't want to do something like this again. I really do not want to continue pushing higher and higher power bikes. Over the past year or so, our team has been talking a lot internally, and we've been more in the boat of starting to dial back power levels and instead head in the direction of range. I'm starting to become over trying to chase 60, 70 miles an hour and, sacrifice it down to 30 to 40 miles range. To me, the argument is this: would I rather have a bike that can go 60 or 70 miles an hour and only go 20 or 30 miles? Or would I want a bike that can do 45 to 50 miles an hour and can get 100 miles range? Which would you rather have? And so that can kind of give you an insight into the direction that Spark is starting to take. Thank you guys again. I hope you like this build. If you want me to do more videos like this where I talk about how we do things, let me know and I will do my best. Obviously, these things do take time. I'm kind of a one-man show over here where I do all the engineering, all the social media, all the video, all the editing. It's a lot of work, guys, but I do love doing it, and I'm happy to share all this with you guys. Okay.